What is capital expenditure in the government budget? Capital expenditure either increase the assets of the government or decrease its liabilities. Capital expenditure increase the assets of the government. That is, when the government spends money to purchase land, government constructs scientific research institutions, government constructs buildings, government constructs flyovers, bridges, or government constructs metro projects, or government constructs railways. That's a capital expenditure. Either increase the assets of the government or decrease its liabilities. When the government returns back the money which they borrowed from the World Bank, or the money which they borrowed from other foreign governments, or the money which the government has borrowed from the general public or the Reserve Bank of India, it decreases the liabilities. So capital expenditure either increase the assets of the government or decrease the liabilities. Number two, capital expenditure is non-recurring. Non-recurring. And number three, capital expenditure is a long-term expenditure. Like when they construct scientific research organization buildings, when they purchase bonds, shares, government buys bonds, shares, debentures, or when the government is constructing scientific research organization or IITs or Indian Institute of Management or railway lines, that's a capital expenditure, long-term expenditure. So capital expenditure either increase the assets of the government or decrease its liabilities. Even when the government gives money to the state governments as loans, that is also capital expenditure. Even when the government returns money which they borrowed from the public, that's also capital expenditure. Capital expenditure either increase the assets or decrease the liabilities of the government. It's a long-term expenditure. It is non-recurring expenditure. It's the construction of bridges, spending money on metro projects, spending money on the construction of railway lines, or opening up public sector undertakings. That's all capital expenditure. Capital expenditure increases the assets of the government or decrease the liabilities of the government. That is capital expenditure. So this can be even on the roads, it can be the expenditure on the flyovers, it can be building infrastructure. When the government acquires land or the government buys shares, bonds, debentures of some private companies, that is also capital expenditure of the government. Capital